Sup? Honor Herman 26 here, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on Nigel McGuinness signing with the WWE. For the second time within 2 weeks, we are losing a top guy from Ring of Honor, Bryan Danielson, on August 24th, and last Friday we lost Nigel McGuinness to the WWE. My first thought was Nigel, again, has been injured as of late, and WWE is signing him while he's still not 100%. I'm thinking that maybe they wanted to train him in FCW kind of to get him back to normal, but then I'm thinking WWE likes size, and Nigel has that more than American Dragon does. So I'm thinking that might be actually a more successful move for the WWE than Bryan Danielson does. I know Ace Stone wanted me to kind of answer one of those questions of who's going to be more successful, Bryan Danielson or Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness for those reasons. But I want to before I answer his second question, I want to take a look back at some of his greatest moments in Ring of Honor. He wrestled for the first time in Ring of Honor at Wrath of a Racket in Dayton, and from his debut in August of '03 at that show to pretty much, I'd say, early '05 when he started a feud with Colt Cabana, he was pretty much non-existent in Ring of Honor, not a big deal. Then the feud with Colt Cabana got him as a heel over with the fans and got him into the storylines. For a while, Colt Cabana went to Europe, and Nigel McGuinness was bragging that he sent Colt Cabana to Europe, even though that had to do with the CM Punk storyline. Then Nigel challenged for the Pure title, which was then held by Samoa Joe on June 12th unsuccessfully, and had a road back to get to it where he finally defeated Joe at Dragon Gate Invasion in August of '05. Then from August of '05 to August of '06, he held the Pure title. It was the last reigning Pure champion before. I'll get to Bryan that entire match later because there's some things I want to cover. Nigel had great Pure title defenses against Jay Lethal, against Claudio Castagnoli. I think he beat Daniels. Now he faced Aries. He just had a great, probably the best Pure title reign, in my opinion. Then he had the first two matches with Bryan Danielson, both in Cleveland, Ohio. The start of probably the greatest rivalry in Ring of Honor history. Then he lost the Pure title in a Pure Wrestling Rules match in London, England at Unify. It was between him and Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson won the match, unifying the World and Pure Championships. Then back in St. Paul, Minnesota, they had their fourth match, a 60-minute time limit draw between Dragon and Nigel. Then Nigel had, I think in my opinion, his greatest Ring of Honor match versus Naomichi Marufuji at Glory of Honor 5 Night 2. And that really put Nigel over as a face because he was kind of transitioning to a face anyway. But that kind of threw him over the edge on that. Then Nigel feuded with Jimmy Rave, and that feud was only okay. I kind of wanted something for Nigel to do to transition before he becomes a legitimate contender for the World Championship, and that's what that was. All culminating at 5th Year Festival finale with his match with Jimmy Rave. Then he challenged for the world title at, I think it was Fighting Spirit, Edison, New Jersey, unsuccessfully Nigel McGuinness. Then he main evented at Ring of Honor's first pay-per-view, teaming with Kenta to take on Bryan Danielson and Takeshi Morishima. Then he was the first person to pin Takeshi Morishima in a Ring of Honor ring at United We Stand in Dayton, Ohio. He also had another match with Bryan Danielson at Driven, which was, or taped to be on the Driven pay-per-view, which was amazing. And he had a match with Chris Hero at the actual Driven taping. It was a bonus match though. Then he challenged, virtue of his victory over Morishima at United We Stand, he got a second title shot at Live in Tokyo, which he did again become successful, and it was I like that match better than actually it goes in order. Actually the matches get worse. Fighting Spirit, then Live in Tokyo, then Undeniable. Then Nigel's road from Live in Tokyo to Undeniable was basically Man Up. He had a four-corner survival with probably the greatest opener maybe in Ring of Honor history. That was the purpose of being an opener, with the four-corner survival with him, Marufuji, Hero, and Claudio at Man Up. He won the match. guaranteeing him a title shot against Morishima for the third time at Undeniable, Ring of Honor's fourth pay-per-view, and he won the Ring of Honor World Championship, and that's when his career kind of took off with his win in Edison, New Jersey. First title defense was against Jay Briscoe in San Francisco. Then he defended the title against Chris Hero in Philadelphia. Then started his heel turn and started the greatness that was Nigel McGuinness in 2008. Had his 4.5-star match with Austin Aries at Rising Above. Then sat out Final Battle, kind of throwing throwing him over the edge at the heel turn. And had some matches in January which were okay for him kind of planting seeds for a heel turn. Then he finally went full-fledged heel at 6th anniversary show with his match with Bryan Danielson there. That was 4.5 stars there. Then put Tyler Black over and got him to be a huge push from him at Take No Prisoners. Kind of put Tyler Black in the upper echelon Ring of Honor, now is a main eventer. Then what happened next? Nigel was at the had his match with Supercard of Honor 3 with Aries, the rematch, which was also great. Then pretty much just had a string of okay title defenses after that. His next great title defense was he defended a new level against Claudio. Then his next great title defense was he had the return of Jerry Lynn to Ring of Honor at Vendetta 2. I'm trying to remember. I can't think of anything besides that. He had a match with Go Shiozaki at Respect His Earn 2. Then in Northern Navigation, in Ring of Honor's Canadian debut, he had a great world title match with Kevin Steen. The next night, he had a better match than a new level with Claudio. Then he had the 4-way in New York City Death of Force Honor 6. Age of Insanity versus El Generico. He had a match in Japan against Bryan Danielson. What was the next night? Oh, he faced Jimmy Jacobs. That match was just okay. Then he had another match with El Generico at Glory of Honor 8. Then his next, he had a 4-way in Montreal, which was pretty good. Then he had his final match with Bryan Danielson in Ring of Honor, Rising Above 2008, which was a strong 4.5-star match there in Chicago. Then I think his next great match was at Final Battle. Yeah, it was at Final Battle, or the first Jerry Lynn title events in Nashville. Then Nigel McGuinness versus Naomichi Marufuji at Final Battle 2008. Then we had Injustice 2 with him against Tyler Black. Then we had him and D-Lo at Proving Ground Night 2 from this past year, or in February. And then his next great title defense came against Kenta at the 7th anniversary show, where that was a 4.5-star match and was on my match of the year countdown for a little while. Then he finally did lose the title after 18 months of holding it to Jerry Lynn, and then got injured, and pretty much has been a non-factor in Ring of Honor, and then just got signed by the WWE since. He's pretty much been a non-factor since Take No Prisoners 2009. And I just went about 4 minutes of that with just his great matches, great title defenses during his reign. I mean, that's how great a champion he was. And it is very sad for me to see him go, but he will be very successful in WWE, I think. And since they haven't had kind of a big British guy come in and be very successful, he's very William Regal-like, or Dave Taylor-like. So, H-Stone's second question, if WWE signs another ROH wrestler, who would it be? I think the next one to go is going to be Delirious. That's just my personal opinion. They kind of have gotten the great wrestlers. They kind of need a different type of wrestler to bring in now. And I see that... Sorry about that. I see that the next guy they bring in should be Delirious, because he can sell kids merchandise. And I've seen before that JR has been interested in him. So, Nigel to the WWE, and let's just hope he does well, and I wish him the best. I'll see you guys later.